Okay, so I'm so excited. I'm gonna let everyone introduce themselves, opposed to me going through and trying to not stumble over my words.
Okay.
So I'm so excited. I'm really grateful that all of you are joining me today. So Rici, do you mind starting off? And we'll
Not a
just go
problem.
around.
My name is Rici, Rici International. My proper name would be Rici De Forest. I'm the curator and artistic director of the Madam C.J. Walker Museum and WERD Studio. WERD Radio was the first black-owned and operated radio station in North America, and we've been preserving this legacy on Auburn and Hilliard for about 26 years now.
Excellent.
My name is Chicago Mike. I'm with the legendary group Kool and the Gang.
I'm Nika, also known as Madam Hempress. I'm an educator, minister, and a healer.
Excellent. Okay, now I'm piecing I'm putting it all together now. Okay, go ahead, Fred.
And my name is The Scientist. My proper name is Fatima or Fatima. You'll hear both. It's this whole Gemini complex. I am an official scientist. I am a healer. And I'm also a curator of a popular experience called the Bud Bar out here in Atlanta, and partnered with Rici to help curate a healing experience in his wonderful space.
Excellent. I'm so excited. We've got so much to dive into, right? I'm so excited to hear from each and every one of you. So thank you again for taking the time to be here today. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Katie.
Yes. Okay, so the thing that I know that has brought us all together, so I really want to start out with this.
Okay.
Tell me about the museum.
Okay. Where do you want to start? You just want to dive into what the museum is, or how I stumbled onto it?
You know what? I think what's really important is I love going almost in chronological order. So I was
Okay.
really touched and would love to share for you in your own words on talking about how you came across this space and how this space wasn't really being utilized or really recognized for what it is.
Okay, and I usually do that through the tour, so what I'll do is give you and the listeners the tour as if you walked into the museum.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Greetings, my name is Rici. I'm the curator and artistic director of the Madam C.J. Walker Museum. This space actually was an original Madam C.J. Walker beauty shop from the 1940s. I stumbled onto it purely by accident, but my clients say I was guided there. Nevertheless, 30 years ago, I had the privilege of traveling as an international makeup artist and hairstylist. There's a beauty publication that is still around called Essence Magazine. I had the pleasure of doing some of the makeup and the hair for the cover of Essence when they first started. And then Fashion Fair Cosmetics launch, which was Johnson Publishing. They plugged me to travel as an international makeup artist for Fashion Fair. So at that time, I had a salon in Atlanta. Back from one of my trips, I had a little convertible at the time. I'm riding around, I'm on Auburn Avenue, I make a right turn on Hilliard. I look to my left and I see, unbelievably, Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Shop on the window. Slam on my brakes, get out of the car, walked over to that window and just started touching it. Out of respect, I watched that window for 10 years, never interested in the area or the space. My clientele was upscale. Auburn Avenue, as much as I love it, was not an upscale area, so I was never interested in moving in there until 11 years later, I needed a new location for my hair salon, and I thought about that window. I came back to check. No one was there, so I asked the barber next door who owns the space. He said the Masons own the whole building and their office is upstairs. I go upstairs, check with the Masons, they say the space is available. I sign the lease right away. I come down excited to clean up, not expecting to find vintage beauty tools left from the last living agent, because they weren't called stylists at that time, to work in the salon. And her name was Mother Dot. Her proper name was Dorothy Smart. So I begged the family to bring her over so I could chat and learn a little more about the space. Mother Dot comes in and tells me that when she started doing hair with those tools that I found in the 1940s, that a shampoo service for a Negro woman was 25 cents. She also mentioned in that conversation that Junior King used to get his hair cut at the barber shop. She saw Dr. King as a kid, and he got his hair next door. It was Mathis Barbershop before Mr. Burden bought it, and now Junior Burden's son operates the barbershop. I'm excited. I'm preserving the legacy. 2 years into the lease, black woman from the neighborhood sticks her head in the door and says, "Mr. Rici, did you know that the first black-owned radio station in America operated directly above this beauty shop, and that I could hear the music as a little girl coming out of the window on my way to school. I'm completely floored. It was WERD radio, the origin of the expression WERD.
How do you, I mean, how does that not just stop you in your tracks?
It does. I mean, I feel like I'm cheating the system. Every day, I get to preserve and promote a legacy so rich it's beyond my ability to explain it. There's more history in that building per square inch than any other structure in the South. We'll start with the fact that it's an original Madam C.J. Walker beauty shop. Dr. King got his hair cut at the barber shop next door. Above the beauty shop was the first black-owned and operated radio station in North America. On the other side of the wall was Dr. King as an adult, his original headquarters for SCLC. But information that the Masons didn't even know, that above Dr. King's office was a beauty school operated by a Negro beauty pioneer that was a millionaire that was not in the movie. Annie Malone was in the movie, Madam C.J. Walker was in the movie. But above Dr. King's office was Apex Beauty School, owned by Sarah Spencer Washington out of New Jersey. Two Negro millionaire beauty pioneers in one building. This is the gift that keeps on giving.
well, and too, it's so fascinating how, you know, obviously their legacy and their history and
Yes.
how much of a personal tie that you have to that. I mean, it's amazing the career that you had and getting to be in a space where in many ways in the country, that's where it started.
It's because of them that I was able to do what I was doing. These are the origins of the black hair care industry. Annie Malone, Madam C.J., Sarah Spencer Washington. But even though this is a Madam C.J. Walker beauty shop, the landscape of the beauty industry is quite different than what we were told. What's going on today in terms of suppression of black excellence and black art, this did not just start. This has been going on for years. These legacies were suppressed for a reason. And even though we are aware of the $1 million status that these Negro women had, what's unfortunate is that no one talks about the other Negro women who were making $500,000 to $800,000 in 1930, 40, and 50. That is insane. So I do not focus on Walker's wealth. I focus on what she did with her wealth. They called themselves race women. Women for the race. They had a business model that is long lost. 1/3 for themselves, whether it was $1 or $1 million. 1/3 for the cause, Negro women with a cause, and 1/3 to the business. And they still became millionaires. That is something special.
And there's something to be said too about part of their legacy that, at least in my exposure to it, doesn't get talked not enough about. Even what you just mentioned, it's like, you know, Madam C.J. Walker, she was the first female black millionaire, self-made millionaire. But you're right, even what you mentioned, just how much she used that platform
that does
to do.
her legacy a discredit, because most of the time when people spill that information out, that's where it stops. That is a complete discredit to everything that she was and did with her wealth.
And you coming across that space in many ways communicates to me how much of a focus isn't on that piece of the legacy.
Absolutely.
Because the actual space where all of that was happening, I mean, so much happening under one roof, and the way that you described your story, when you came across the space, it was completely empty.
Yeah.
It was just sitting there vacant.
No one was ever there when I came by. I don't know how long it had been vacant. But fortunately for me, I remember that window, came by, got the space, and this is where we are today for 26 years. We've been preserving and promoting these rich legacies.
Well, and a piece that I want to ask you and give you an opportunity to say, because I don't want to miss this piece, is you communicating to me about your mission when it comes to preserving this piece of legacy and being able to pass this on to further generations.
That was my objective from the very beginning. The fact that I did not know, we're going to go from Walker to WERD, the fact that I didn't know anything about the first black radio station in North America, to me, was shocking. Within the African American community, and I'm not going to pull any punches in saying this, but beauty and music is on par with oxygen and food within the black community. They are so significant. To not know about WERD, the station that provided a platform for Negro artists that wouldn't be played on white stations because their music was called race music. Music by Negroes, for Negroes, not to be played. WERD played these artists, and Dr. King was able to use that station as a platform to coordinate logistics for the civil rights movement and to deliver his sermons. That station is as crucial to the movement as King himself.
Well, and it's just remarkable because so much happening under that one roof in so many ways arguably created spaces across different platforms, whether it was the beauty industry, the music industry, the arts, creating a space that, especially, I mean, if we're talking, the 1940s and the 50s and 60s, black people didn't have.
Exactly. They provided the Walker, Turnbow, and Sarah Spencer Washington provided a skill set for Negro women to become independent. That is the legacy, not how much each one made, but what they did with their wealth.
Well, speaking about what they did with their legacy and what they used their platform and their position to do, let's talk about what you're doing now with the community. So get a chance to bring in our friends. Tell me about some of the missions and some of the aspects about the different community outreaches that we're kind of talking about.
Well, because Walker, Turnbow, and Malone were very much race women, in other words, they found ways to empower other Negro women. So in that spirit, I partner with black female businesses with the museum, letting them use the space as long as it's in par with a positive message. So in the room with us, we have my sister-in-law, Nika, and Fatima, that have what's called the blues and, what is it called?
Blends and blues. Blends and blues.
Blends and blues. So they bring their blends, and then while they're doing that, I get the opportunity to introduce a room full of young people, the music from 1920 to 1980 on vinyl. So it's a complete immersive experience, and it's done in an original Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Shop directly under the first black radio station in North America, and sandwiched in between the original headquarters for SCLC, which was Dr. King on the right, and Burden's Barbershop, where Dr. King got his haircut, on the left.
Oh my goodness. So basically, what's amazing is that this space is continuously over, going into around the century, still being able to benefit the black community.
Absolutely. So we're preparing now for the bicentennial, what is it? The 250th year celebration of America is in July 2026. So we're gearing up to celebrate that with the expansion of the museum, with a 1930s tea room that will be connected to the museum, as well as a 1930s speakeasy.
Oh, I'll definitely be popping by then.
Members only.
Well, hopefully, since you're telling me about it beforehand, I get VIP.
Yeah, you know that.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure my name's already on the list. I don't want to get turned away at the door. It's very exclusive. So actually, I was gonna say, I was like, so our friends, because you mentioned the blooms.
Yes.
Blooms and blooms.
Blends and blues.
Blends
Blends
and-
and blues.
Okay.
Blends.
I'm gonna edit this out. Blends and blues.
Yeah.
Blends and blues. Which
It's a jazz
is,
night.
it is.
It's a jazz night.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tell me about what does that really look like? What is that? What is really the catering to the part of the community?
So, the blends and blues, what blends are is I am a 420 scientist, and I particularly specialize in, and I'm certified, my degree is in bio and chem, and then I'm actually a certified dispensary technician, so I heal with plants. I also use herbs. It's a holistic experience from the physical product level. So that's the blends, right? We incorporate all kinds of different plants in a consumption experience, whether that be through puffing or teas, to heal the body from a physical level. But that's not enough, right? That heals the community, but it doesn't bring the community together, just healing people on an individual basis. So through my partnership with Nika, who is a powerful healer, minister, prayer warrior, and then we have another trilogy, we all came together, right, 3 Black women, and said, no, we need to do more. We need to bring this product into an experience that really hits all the senses to really help people understand the commitment to healing, the commitment to what we're putting in our body. And when, she told me about her brother-in-law, Rici, it just hit home, because when we think about our history, how so many African American people got locked up from the consumption of the 420 flower, and how many of our Black men are still in that same position. And back in the day, it wasn't called 420 flower back in the day, but it was a way that people were able to get together and escape all the noise for a second through the social consumption of it. And so the Bud Bar is not just about the consumption of the flower, but the social aspect of how it brings people together. And with the history of the space, the music aspect, the richness of it, and the commitment to healing, the Madam C.J. Walker Museum, in partnership with the Bud Bar Experience, which is my parent company is called Pure Path, right? Thinking about walking the pure path. It's a commitment to healing mind, body, and spirit, ancestral healing as well, right? To go in there as a young Black woman and creating a platform for other Black women. So it's 3 of us that we started with, and now we have a whole team of 8 of, 6 Black women, 2 Black men. We're all getting together with everybody having different businesses coming together to support each other. And then now having places like the Madam C.J. Walker that allow us all under 20 to 30, on average age, create a platform for us to be able to heal, bring the community together and learn. Right? There's so many things that I didn't know. I'm learning on this radio right now. There's so many things that I didn't know as a 27-year-old young woman. I heard the name Madam C.J. Walker. I knew the significance, but not the impact, right? Besides her money. So Rici has taught me the power of, it's not about the dollar. It's about the impact. It's about the richness. It's about the history. It's about the people. And so going into that space, even for my own business, I have learned and respected how the space has helped me respect my ancestors and really respect the people that came before me, so I can make the impact going forward and honor them. And being in Rici's space really, for the Bud Bar, shows that we have a commitment to honoring our ancestors, and Rici's space with our partnership shows he has a commitment to holistic healing. So it's a perfect synergy.
I need to applaud that.
Exactly. Enough said.
Whoa.
I mean, because and I really appreciate you sharing that, because I will say that it was really fascinating. At least I hate that we are, at least for this moment, we're focusing a lot on the Madam C.J. Walker piece, because I think that piece can't be said enough about what you just mentioned, about how just her as an example of somebody where it's almost just like a line. It's almost like 2 sentences where it was like, okay, we know who she was. We know she created. Yep, exactly. She made money. She did some things in beauty, and then we move on.
Yeah.
And it's so fascinating, because you're right. So when I first came across the museum, it was like Friday, versus doing the historical pieces to it, versus trying to then the amount that, let me take back, then the experience of walking into that space and getting an opportunity to chat with you, it's not even comparison. I mean, that's trying to explain to someone, you know, a drop of water versus the ocean. It's not the same. So I really appreciate you sharing that, and that aspects about, you know, how much of an influence and an impact it's already made on you, let alone, you know, the other aspects that you're trying to move forward with. So it's what is that old expression? You can't know where you're going until you know where you came from. So, but okay, so we're gonna come back. But so this side of the room's been too quiet. Tell me. I guess I won't focus in on you too much. I know you said you didn't want to.
No, he's gonna chat. He's got some.
Don't worry, I have plans for you, because I'm gonna ask you a lot of music questions. You know, I'm gonna utilize your expertise in the music industry. I can't help myself, but we'll focus in on the aspects about the community outreaches and those expansions right now, because it's not just a space where, you know, obviously people could travel and they can come into that space, but it's even more about how that space is still continuously influencing the community around it. So tell me, if you don't mind me, you know, sharing a little bit about what your experience has been with.
As a whole, when I think about it as exploring, elevating, educating, in a whole experience. I mean, you're able to educate, I'm able to, you know, it's an experience, to elevate, to be able to educate on what we're doing in a space like this, with, like we said, a dynamic duo, you know, that's revolutionizing time right now in what we're doing. We're something new, something revolutionary, something that never has been done before. So it's spectacular. It's a wonderful feeling to partner with such wonderful people. Words really can't describe it.
I'm gonna double check on, make sure it's still recording, since the screen's not facing me. I don't want to be missing any of this. I just want to make sure. I had a feeling. I was like, something was weird going on. No, it was. It is. We're so good. Sorry. I was like, just want to triple check. I got nervous. I was like, let me just double check. Actually, I want to rephrase that. I actually want to take it a step further. You said that the space is creating something it never has before. I almost want to ask you, would you say that it's creating, or would you say that it's reviving, and that it's solidifying something that's already and not forgetting that piece?
Very true. Yes, it's reviving, revolutionizing. It is not a rebellion of any kind. It is literally a restoration. So that's the way I see it, is a restoration, to be able to come back to what has always been us, always been our community, always been, you know, rituals of ours. Whatever it is that we can come together as a community to uplift each other, like I said, to educate and elevate each other. That's what this has been able to just continue to expand.
So when I sit back at the Bud Bar experience in the museum and watch Shanika and Fatima and her crowd of unique personalities, they don't realize that I'm observing from a completely different perspective, because they're a whole nother generation. And what I noticed is there is a renaissance taking place that is parallel to the Harlem Renaissance in New York. Auburn Avenue was going through that same renaissance, but Atlanta, Georgia doesn't have the same, what is the term I need, clout that New York would have. So no one really talks about it. The same thing that was taking place in Harlem, musically, culturally, politically, was taking place on Auburn Avenue. So as I watch their group in my space, I'm recognizing and I can feel the presence of a modern day 1920s Renaissance taking place on Auburn Avenue in 2025. I'm not aware if the young people realize it, but it is actually happening in Atlanta, not just in my space. It's happening in Atlanta. black professionals on every level are killing it in a good way.
Well, and it's so fascinating because it's almost as if it, you know, I bet, you know, exploring the area more and going into, you almost would have, especially right now, more of the pockets, but it's almost as if your mission is to set out to connect those individual pockets so that there is more of that sense of community and connection and knowing like, hey, I'm doing this over here, but also we can collaborate and this piece also goes to that and I can help you this way, you can help me that way. And
that is exactly what's taking place. And I was delighted to get a text from HDDC, which has been preserving the legacy and promoting the legacy of Auburn Avenue over the past like 30 or 40 years, reach out to me and say exactly what you just said. We are going to connect these various entities and see how we can help one another. And so just a big shout out to Shanae, who's the director of the Historic District Development Corporation. And then you got this character to my left, Chicago Mike, who walks in, and I'm thinking, you know, okay, my forte is music from 1920 up into the 1970s. Here comes Chicago Mike. When he comes in, I learned so much about an area of music that I'm not familiar with. And I'll just let him, you know, first of all, we're getting ready to do a podcast together. Yeah.
Okay, well, you gotta let me know when that goes off.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'll be listening.
Because Chicago brings an insight from the inside of the music industry. Everything that I have is from the outside looking in. So he's able to turn the mirror around this way and show me what it's like on the inside. So anyway, Chicago might do your thing, man.
I was so excited to chat with you because that's funny to me. You're like, oh, I'm nobody. I'm like, okay. When it comes to especially because I'm glad that we get to kind of shift now the conversation. I had a plan, I promise. I don't have it written down, but I had a plan. It's all up here. About we got to focus in on that the beauty industry piece of it, but really I understand that especially the piece coming from now a radio aspect, we need to talk about the significance of the radio station and the industry, and I'm so excited to hear from you. Go ahead.
Well, in my opinion, I have the least of all the reason to be here. But I'll tell you a little bit about myself and Kool and the Gang. I'm from the South. I started with Kool and the Gang in 1985. The band celebrated its 60th year last year, 2024. The band was started in 1964. Of the original members, there's only one left, and that's Kool. So it's still Kool and the Gang. We travel between 80 and 110 dates a year. We just come off the BET cruise last week. Basically, we are celebrated because of the song Celebration, Get Down on It, Ladies Night, and how I met this young man to my right. I'm into history, coming from Chicago, and when I moved here in 2005, I thought I was just passing through. But it happened that 2025, I've been here 20 years. 20 years. And as being into history, I found out about the historical barbershop. So I wanted to get my hair cut at the historical barbershop. And I did that. But as I came out of the historical barbershop, this historical music was playing. And it was next door, and I had to find out who, what, where it was coming from. And this was a few years ago. And I went in and got a chance really to meet this gentleman here. I call him international, you know, because he's been around the world just like I have. And we just clicked right away because of his fondness for music. And of course, my fondness for music because it's my business, you know, it's my profession, it's my career. And we just started talking, and I just started looking at the place and just fell in love with the history, with the knowledge that he has and the things that he's done to really teach people, because that's really what he is. He's a teacher. To me, he's like a professor. And I was stopping in for a minute, and I ended up being there 3 or 4 hours, really, because the place really does that to you. And with that being said, we really became good friends over the years, and every time I get my hair cut, I'm there. And in fact, it was so impressive. I had Cool of Cool and the Gang to fly in to check out the place, and we started about 3 years ago a champagne called Le Cool Champagne, and we had a Le Cool Champagne party at the museum, and I invited my friends in from Earth, Wind and Fire, SOS Band, Frankie Beverly and Mays. A lot of the current musicians from my era came in, and we just had a good time that evening, tasting out champagne, even though I don't drink. And the rest is really history.
I tasted yours for you. It was good.
It's really good. I also did.
He was like, "Is it good? I don't know."
Yeah, it was good.
It was good. Okay, I gotta check it out. Can I get it just anywhere?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Liquor
good.
store.
It's not exclusive
Delicious.
somewhere. I gotta
No, it's we have it in 22 states now here in America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
It's
wow.
French champagne.
Trying to go all 50 states.
Yeah,
Yeah.
trying to get all over the world, really. Yeah.
Actually, you're right. Don't limit yourself to the U.S. Don't do that. Well, let me ask you too. I mean, you have such an impressive career, and I love the story, and I really appreciate you sharing how you guys got connected.
Mhm.
Tell me about. I'm really curious from your perspective, the significance of the radio station, the WERD being preserved, and that space, and everything that came from that. As a musician, how does that? What are your thoughts? What are your impressions of that?
Well, basically, and I'm glad you asked that question. I've run into a lot of people here in Atlanta, young people, and they've done a shortcut. And what I mean by that, learning music and learning how to play instruments. And one of the reasons is because of technology. That computer really has done damage to young musicians because they don't learn how to play instruments. They can go right to a laptop and play any instrument they want to play. And that takes away the essence of what God has given us. Whenever you know how to play an instrument, that comes from above. And if you can really, in my belief anyway, if you learn how to play an instrument, whether it's your voice, a horn, drums, keyboards, whatever it is, that means that you have invested time in the Lord to me. And I don't want to sound religious because I'm not. I'm kind of spiritual. And so it teaches you how to grow. And technology kind of cuts that off. You can ask anybody today, what's my sister's phone number? They don't even know their sister's phone number because it's in the telephone. You know what I'm saying? So basically, I tell everybody now, all the young people here in Atlanta, because they call this a hip hop town, pick up an instrument, learn how to play an instrument, because that's going to help you grow from the inside to really be able to create music. Because if you sit on a keyboard, on a laptop, you haven't learned how to create music. You've just learned how to hit some buttons, and that's it. The computer is creating the music for you. So with that being said, that's one of the very important things to me that Rici is really giving to Atlanta or to the world, is that, hey, you made a statement. If you don't know where you came from, you won't know where you're going. And if you get the young people to learn how to play instruments, they'll know where they came from. And then they'll know where they're going. So it's easy, but it's hard because you have to put it in. My dad always said you have to put it in and get it out.
Yep.
And a lot of the young folks, they don't want to do that.
With all due respect to Atlanta being a haven or a foundation of hip hop, the DNA of hip hop and or rap music dates back to the 1920s. this is not an art form that is new on the scene. Every decade from 1920 to present day had rap artists. It was not called rap. There's an evolution that took place. Louis Armstrong taught Cab Calloway and Ella how to scat, nonsensical sounds to a rhythm. Scat elevated to vocalese in the 1930s and 40s. Negro artists would create instrumentals, but there would be another Negro over here listening to your instrumental and make up a story, a lyrical story to your instrumental. That's called vocalese. Eddie Jefferson, John Hendricks, Scatman Crothers. And then going into the 60s and 70s, you got the great brother Gil Scott-Heron. The revolution will not be televised. Whitey on the Moon, The Bottle, to into the 80s.
Well, and I don't know if you recalled that you told me this when we first met when I came in on Sunday. We were talking about the aspects about creating, you preserving, but in many ways trying to expand that space where it was giving, this generation, the next generation, a space where they can come in and experience it. Because I will say, aside, and this is a personal testimony, and I would be curious on if you had the same experience. When I walked in, I can't really think of a place. I'm born and raised in Georgia. I can't think of a space other than growing up and my dad playing those records where I could go in and really experience that and have that immersion of history, which, like I said, was life changing for me. But I don't know that we really have that as much preserved.
Yeah, this is a unique space. A very unique space. My son said it best when he said it's disarming.
Yes.
No matter where you come from in life, racially, size, religion, whatever, that space will disarm you. It owns you.
And it heals you.
The room of truth, because these artists that are celebrated within the WERD years were artists that created music where the music was in front of the money. Money is in front of the music now. So there's a corrupting factor. It's just inevitable. It's just what money does. It's no disrespect to the artist. It's just a spiritual and cultural reality. These artists produced the music straight from their heart. They weren't going after any kind of dollar amount. It's regretful that they didn't benefit from all of their art, but they gave their lives for this music. And so we owe a debt of gratitude. So I'm in perpetual state of gratitude and promoting this legacy. First of all, our seniors are cut off. We take music to senior homes because the seniors are cut off from the music they grew up with. That's where that vinyl collection came from. I used to volunteer and do hair at A.G. Rhodes. And then COVID hits, so I had to stop. But I asked the director, can I bring music to the senior home, because I can have the speaker over there and I can be a safe distance and still volunteer. So my client, her name was Chantel Mullen. Her father was a DJ in Arkansas. Chantel saw what I was doing with my volunteer time. Her father passed away. She donated that entire library of music that is in the museum to the museum. And it's insane. It's like 15,000 records from the 1920s through the 1980s. We're talking 78s, because we have an actual Victrola that you have to crank. And we play that for young people so that they get an idea of what it was like in 1930 for young people to listen to music. They had to walk to the Victrola and crank it up and put the 78 on.
So actually, that is a question I would love to ask both of you, with your experience with music, and I mean, that, you're right, it's a very impressive collection, but then it does spark a question for me. So there are a lot of artists of today, that are creating, so they'll have their CDs, they'll have their albums come out, but then they also have like an album. How do you feel that you know, on one level tries to preserve the history and like the albums that you're able to play from those classics, you know, from the artists.
Wait,
from
I'm not
before.
understanding the question.
Yeah, no
Let me
worries.
borrow it again.
So, I guess the aspects about like the change and the shift of the music, right? So the performance piece, the musicians, the art of it.
Mhm.
When albums are coming out today
Yeah.
versus the ones that you have in your museum.
Yeah, there's a complete difference in the pressing. All of our music is original pressing, so there's an acoustic value that you're not going to find today in today's music. But I have all due respect for the artists that want to go to the 33 and a third format, because that album cover and the whole process of picking up an album, the ritual of putting it on a turntable and laying the stylus down on the wax is a completely different experience. It's a much warmer sound. And it brings you to the period. You know, the generation that I was privy to grow up in, we actually listened to the whole freaking side. We didn't skip from one song. If Isaac Hayes was playing, you
just
played
played
the
it.
whole freaking side of Isaac Hayes and then you flipped it over. You know, so it was interesting. I was riding with some young people and there was something on the radio. They would listen to one song and be their song. Next thing you know, somebody's finger is up there, you know, hitting the button so that they could jump to another song. See, that's it, and it's cool. It's just that I noticed the generational difference. We would just listen to the whole thing.
What are your thoughts on it?
Well, basically, music truly is so cerebral. It really is. It touches the spirit like nothing else. And just like he was saying, vinyl, the warmth. When years ago, when they were creating albums and records, you can really get the true essence of what the musician was doing. When today it's computerized, so it's mechanical. So you're not getting that warmth, you're not getting that knowledge, you're not getting that essence from music. You're just hearing it and you enjoy it. But if you were to spend time in the museum and just listen to some of the music from way back, you can really get a feel from what they were thinking, what they were feeling, and it's easily transposed to you, and it will give you that feeling that, wow, this is what they were feeling back then, you know. And you can't get that from a CD. You can't get that from with the 8 tracks, or I'm dating myself right now, cassettes. So
Reel to reel.
Real to real. So basically, it's like a totally different experience. And so, again, music has always been to teach. Of course, to enjoy, to feel, to touch your spirit, but it was really geared to teach you. That's where we came from, beating the drums in Africa and all that. You got all this feel, you know, you got the pure essence of what it was supposed to do. So, you know, we've moved on in technology and everything is 30 seconds. If it's not 30 seconds, I don't want it, you know.
Yeah.
And that's just really what it is. And the younger people, to me, they have learned a lot and really fast, but they still is missing that feel, that essence of what needs to be down inside, you know, in your spirit. And that's what music was geared to do. That's what it was supposed to do, touch your spirit. And that's what we've done in many years, singing and dancing. When you're dancing, that's a spirit. When you're singing, that's a spirit. You know what I mean? And so it comes from above, and it's so difficult to really try to communicate that to your generation because everything has to be microwave.
Speed
Has to be
is
fast.
the word of the day.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what's so crazy. It's hard to separate, because even as you mentioned, like the the concept of slowing down, and it's really fascinating to see that maybe that is something that's only really happened the last couple of decades, of this fast pace, like everyone has to be. I know that, again, for myself, I don't know if you could speak to this. It's like you wake up, and if you haven't done like 50 billion things, because you'll get on social media and like they've traveled to Europe and back, and then they started 3 more businesses, and then they did a photo shoot, and I'm like, I just brushed my teeth. I feel like so the idea of like taking that time to sit back, there could be this anxiety of like, oh no, I'm not doing enough. I'm not being productive. I'm not working hard enough. Yeah. I'm not,
And I'll add to that, and for all the young people listening, just one short phrase to keep in your heart: enhance your essence with the historical. Enhance your essence with the historical, because as someone who brain does move at 1,000 miles an hour, and I listen to podcasts on 1.5 speed, so things have to move very quick for me. But I noticed, especially being in the museum and being in the essence of the historical, not always just around older people, but the essence and the energy. Your ancestors, and if you don't believe in ancestors from a biological standpoint, there are it's a 5-generation time right now, where it's 5 generations that are in one workspace right now. If you really think about that, and when you have that many people from 18 to 70 in one workspace, which is happening in corporate America right now, that is so much wisdom. And the young people don't see older people as wise; they see them as a slow. And then older people see young people as too fast and ignorant. And we have this major gap of they are like this because we have technology, which is not a fault of our own. And then they had no technology, was no fault of their own, so they had to learn the wisdom of things, where we have learned the application of things. And that's why I love, being in Rici's space, to be able to have the gap filled between wisdom and application. It took them a long time to apply because they had to learn. It takes us a short time to apply because we don't have to learn. So now we can enhance our essence as a young person with the historical knowledge, because you're going to radiate different when you know. You can push buttons, but the connections that you're going to have, the impact that your music is going to have is going to be short-lived, because you didn't have the essence of longevity, right? Rici's space is going to have longevity. Kool and the Gang is going to have longevity because they understood essence, not just practicality. And so I encourage all young people to think about if you want to be 8 generations in longevity, or do you want to be now? Because if you want to be now, push buttons. But if you want to live across generations and forever, and truly be timeless, truly create generational wealth, you're going to have to learn the essence. And the only way you're going to learn the essence is if you partner with older people.
We can applaud her now.
I need to spend more time with Fatima.
Yeah, you do. I told you that. I learn every day.
I'm just like,
abundance
wow.
of wealth and knowledge.
Wow. I'll get back on the mic. I really appreciate you saying that and like simplifying that way, because it's interesting where the impatience piece, right? Like it's I went to it's just a sidebar. I went to a conference last year, and it's aspects of like a lot of mentors, and and it was interesting where one of the ongoing themes with so many entrepreneurs, so many professionals today, it's just do it now. Just do it now, figure it out, fail fast. That was the theme. And it's interesting where you can do that. I guess it does. We always have that 1% it works out for. But it is interesting of the perspective and the vision. Do you want to create something that, you're right, becomes viral for a day? Or do you want to make something that lasts? And when you said that, what I think about is obviously some pieces that you have created. And it's interesting do you want something that, when you hear it or when you feel it, like invokes an emotion, and it moves you and it changes you that way forever? And I can say that there are a lot of, speaking of the musical piece, there's a lot of things that when they came out and when I heard them again, I was like, oh, it's great. And then a year later, it's it kind of it dates itself. So I really appreciate you like using that as a focus of like, I mean, yeah, you can push buttons on a computer, but really investing in something and making something more lasting and impactful. And so
you're
many
investing
of the
in the relationship.
Yes.
You're investing in the people, right?
Yes.
Because you can Google things, but when you get to learn from someone that's been doing it, I am 27 years old, and literally Rici said I've just been curating the museum for 26 years. Right, which means that he had a whole life even before he started curating the museum, way before I was born, right? So that wisdom can't be lost, and I encourage all young people to value that wisdom and to value the relationship that wisdom actually brings, not just the information that you receive.
Amazing. What you got there?
What we have right here
No. Did you bring me stuff?
is a gift for you.
Oh my gosh. No, I can't have this.
You can.
Oh my gosh.
Very few people that come into that museum space get it on the level that you get it. So what I'm gifting you, for those who are listening,
You're gonna make me cry.
these are
Okay.
the collection cans that were used during the Civil Rights era to raise money for the legal and hospital bills that were passed out to various organizations. And then when you turned in the can to SCLC, they gave you the I gave card, which says you gave to the movement. And then 2 Madam buttons.
Oh my gosh. I'm
and
sorry.
I
I'm
cans
so
are authentic.
crying.
I have one word to leave with you
Please.
that should last you, and everybody knows about it. In fact, your logo kind of says it, LOVE. That's what it's all about, love. If you learn, if you invest in whatever you're doing in music, that's love, and it'll last forever.
Oh, I am so touched. I'm sorry. I'm like shaking. Thank you so much.
That can is at the Smithsonian in DC, as well as the King Center. Those are authentic.
She's shaking.
I am. I am. Thank you so
You're
much.
very welcome.
I can't explain.
Oh, you deserve it.
Thank you so much. This means so much to me. Oh my gosh.
That's a
Thank
hug,
you.
folks.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, so thank you so much for
You're
all
very
of your
welcome.
time. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to sit down with me. So thank you, and everyone
very
needs to
welcome.
visit the museum, the Madam C.J.
Absolutely.
Walker and WERD
WERD
Studio.
Studio ATL on
Yes.
Instagram.
Excellent.